Okay, I think we are live here. It has been a hot minute since we've done this. Yeah, it's been crazy. I spent some time earlier today going through everything and trying to refresh myself on what we were doing, what a conlang even is, what on earth is happening in the world, all of that stuff. But let me know if you can hear me and all of that, just that I know that I did it properly. I think I did, but let me know if you can hear me. Um, but yes, am hoping today's stream goes better than usual because I'm hooked up to the Ethernet of my house instead of just the Wi-Fi for the first time. So I'm hoping that works. We shall see though. And then let's see. Yes. So I have everything set up here. I think I have everything pulled up. I'm gonna have to switch between the inputs because today I think we're gonna actually be getting into the code again, which is exciting. And also, if you've noticed, I now have a third bookcase, which I don't know if you can actually see it very well. It's this one, and this has most of my nonfiction stuff on it now. So all of my like research for all of my world building stuff and craft books and Marshall manuals and all of that. So I'm excited about it, and I also have a giant love sack now, which is very comfortable. So room updates, I suppose. Okay. So to do a brief recap, and today I probably won't be able to go for 2 hours like I normally do. Just a heads up. I'm not sure how long we'll make it tonight. It'll depend on my current energy levels because I've been a little bit sleep deprived. Yeah. But anyway, so we are working on our spell language. I don't know why I said R. We are working on my spell language together. And I have this high-level overview, which has been working really well for me, which has all the sections and then a breakdown of the verb parts. So what we were working on, not yesterday, not last month. Was it last month? Last time, right? We are working on nouns and being able to add the various things that we needed to them, and we were working on the verb stem. So we did a lot of this part, which we'll get to. But let's see. Yeah, so I think nouns we're mostly done with at this point. We have our plurality prefix markers, so to say if something's plurality or not, it's normally unspecified or implied. We have our pronoun prefix markers, which either allow us to mark the subject on a verb or mark a possessive determiner on a noun. And they normally are unspecified plurality and can be inclusive, exclusive animate, and exclusive inanimate. So we have those. And then we have some spatial determiners, which are essentially proximal, which is this or something close. There's medial, which is that being referred or pointed to, which is like a medial distance, right? But specifically here, it's being pointed to, like directly being referenced. And then distal is that or far. And these are affixes that normally end up getting sandwiched between other things in our verb. And then we have our declension table, which we have these different cases: nominative, accusative, vocative, dative, locative, instrumental, which we've started to build them up. And then we have the verb stems, which we started building some of these just so we can build some practice spells last time. So in our verb stem, if you remember, let me zip back over to the front. For our verb stem, we have the root of the verb, which is what indicates, right, what the verb is. So like stirring is a verb root. An action morpheme tells you what type of action is being applied to that to create the actual verb itself. So it could be causative, a negated causative, which creates a terminative, creational or destructional if negated, instrumentative, reflexive, and then just like a base if the word is in of itself a verb already. And then we have determiners, which include like possessive, spatial. So this is all the stuff that we had in the noun section, right? These are noun determiners, or they reference the noun. Specifically our direct object here, if there is one, right? So you could say stir that, right? And there doesn't necessarily, well, we haven't gotten that far yet, but in theory, there's a direct objects stir that bowl or stir that liquid, I guess. Liquid would be the direct object. The determiner could be that, or it could be my bowl, or that my bowl, or we might add distributive. So stir all of my bowls or stir half of my bowls, right? We could have however many of those squished in there. And then we have the post verb, which are essentially things that are going to be after the verb. And that'll be tenses and aspects. So post verb contains markers for a variety of unincorporated things. That is also this. We haven't gotten to much of that yet, but let's jump back to here. So we have our verb root, which is the first part, which in all of our examples here, you can see those. So like fire, wind, form, hammer, those are all the verb roots, which some of those are just roots in general that are used as the verb root here. And then we have our action morpheme. So fire with the causative action morpheme is start fire. The undo terminative is put out fire. Destroy or destructive is to break apart the form of, so breaking apart something. The instrumentative on top of a hammer is like to actually hammer something. And then stir implies the verb already, right? So that just uses the base to create the verb to stir. So we started working on that. We started lining out some of our Sandhi rules, which is our sound change system. I haven't codified this yet, but I added a place in the code, which I'll show you momentarily. Did we get to much of this? I think last time we briefly touched on the first, second, and third degree adverbial phrases just as a requirement to make basic spells, which I think was our goal last time. So then if we hop here, we took some of those like verb stem and hi Charles. I've not that many of these, so there's not too much to catch up on, but there is I don't know, they're kind of long and chatty. I think they're more fun live, but you know, you feel free to binge watch all the Conlang videos where I have no idea what I'm talking about, and everyone in the chat is like, "Ah, yes, let me tell you all of these basic Conlanging things," and I'm like, "Oh, cool." But yes, so spells. We actually built our very first spell last time. And part of why I'm going over this as in depth is because it's been a while and I have forgot, and it's helping me. But yes, so we have our typical start fire, break apart crystal, hammer to stir, right? So this is the verb stem or the verb part, right? Which includes our verb stem and our action morpheme. And then we have the beginning part of the spell, which is essentially spirit name ending in sh, which is our vocative case, and then amai or amaiwa, amaiwan, amaicha, which if we go back up to the top, the subject, right, that is our spirit name. The vocative case is our ending in sh. And then our mood clause is essentially that part that actually makes it a spell, right? So our mood verb, intensifier, which is the degree in this case. So this is essentially what we have, right? The command is the imperative mood. Our intensifier changes it to welcome, beseech, command, or a strong command. And we kind of talked about that a little bit already. So we have that. And then we have the actual like thing we're commanding them to do, which creates spells, right? So down here, we have, where did this come from? Where did we build this? Nakravati? Where did we actually build that from? Because Nakravati would be, let's see. Wow, I totally know what's happening. Let's see. Nakravati. Oh, here we go. Let me copy this over so that, whoops, I don't forget what that is. Yes. So this is essentially the command that pulls the magic side of something into the world. So if we have a spirit named Imva, we would have Imvash Amai Nakravati is our spell for spirit Imva, or oh Imva, I welcome you to bestow this, I guess, to the world or whatever in general, right? To bestow the magic of this back to us. So we have that. So that takes us back to, those are just notes. That takes me back to, let me stop sharing the screen and switch over to my code. Here's the code. So I've played around with this a little bit, trying to just figure out how we were going to do this, because I have everything set up for like the random word builders, right? Like where, like if I go to the main class, I can have it print out 50 random words with 2 syllables, right? Like I can just have it do that. But that doesn't actually help us track and build spells. And again, like we're not doing a full grammatical system. We're being very focused here. Like this is just spells. So I think because of that, part of this is going to have to be like me just knowing how to combine them. Like I'm not going to do anything weird where like I can tell it in speech and it just magically knows how to, like, that's not going to happen. So in my library, I started defining morphemes for all the parts we've talked about. Because the other thing is we still need to do the sandhi. So even, or sandhi? Sandhi? So even if we world build or conlang all the individual pieces of these, I'm still going to have to massage them later to apply all of our sound changes to get them where we want them. But based off what we've already, wait, this is the wrong one. There we go. Based off what we've already talked about, I've added in those action morpheme, like verbalizing suffixes here. So like causative is a du, etc. I added in some of the verb roots, which these aren't really like verb roots, right? These are just morphemes that we are using as verb roots, but it helped my brain to call these verb roots here just because. So I added some of the ones that we had in, you can't see it, but in the PowerPoint when we were building the verb stem, these are some of the ones that we had done already. So we have, you know, clear skies, wet skies, which is rain. We have stir, fire, hammer, crystal, etc. And that's mainly all we have here. I started right here. The apply sandhi rules is just comments right now that I need to actually code out at some point, but it'll make these changes. So where I think we pick up today is we document the spells or some of the spells we have now just to make sure we know how we want to do it. And then we start building some more spells. And then as we run into cases where we don't have it like fleshed out, like how that needs to work, we can go back and conlang out what those parts of the actual, I guess, conlang part are. So if I copy from here, we have this spell, our first spell, Imvash Amai Nakravati, right? So the one thing we definitely need to have is our vocative noun cases, specifically vocative right now, which is a suffix, right? So if we want to reverse build that, we need vocative case, and that's our suffix. We could even call that a suffix. Vocative sh, right? So we have the proper noun, right? The name. And then we have this vocative case suffix. We have a space, right? Wow. I haven't used this keyboard in a little while. Okay, yeah. So vocative case suffix, and then we have our main spell parts, which I can break into the individual like more, they're not technically morphemes, right? At that point, that is a word, an entire word, not a morpheme. But we're using it for the same purpose in that it is a part of speech, even if it's a full part of speech. So what we can probably do is put that up here. So this will be our, what did we call these? Let me pull that up real quick. Imperative mood command. And so we have 4 of those. Let me just copy this over. Maybe I just need to rename morpheme to something else. But let's see. There. That's what we have basically. So we will have our welcome command, which is imperative command, which is my. And then let's add a new thing, which is just word. It's already a full word, even though it's technically like a morpheme. It's fine. We'll fix that later. We'll rename it. I don't know what the right word like to call that is. I mean, pieces of meaning, maybe. I don't know. But welcome, beseech. So this is a second level imperative command, which is a my wa. We have the third level imperative command, which is a my one, which is command. And then I'm going to call this force, because you're not just commanding someone to do it, you're forcing them to do it. Like, I feel like that implies a higher degree of like imperativeness, I guess. So it's a 4th level imperative command. Maicha. Yes. So back to what we are trying to create, which is our spell down here. Where'd it go? No, right here. I can read. Right. So let's move our comment up. So proper noun, vocative case, and then a my is our welcome command. So we have that, another space, and then nakravati, which is to bestow. And then, so this would be our verb root. This would be our reflexive action morpheme. And then this would be our proximal determiner. Wow, I remember this a little bit, somewhat, right? Okay. So we need to add a verb root for this, which we'll copy this over here for that. And we called this verb root nakra. Where am I? Nakra. So this is bestow, which is essentially sacrifice or bestow from crossing boundary, we'll just say. So bestow plus we have our action, our reflexive action morpheme, plus we have this proximal, which, let me find that. Where did we do that? Okay, let me move that to the side so I can see it. So these are similar to nouns, which we don't have sections for yet. So I'm just going to put it down at the bottom. So we'll copy you and we'll start a new section for our determiners These are specifically our spatial determiners. So we have proximal determiner, which at some point, actually, you know what I should probably do? You know, in fancy conlanging stuff, they have those like short form things for stuff. I should probably use that. That would probably make a lot of sense. Like REF is reflexive. So I should probably just call this REF or something, right? Like I feel like that would be smart for me to do. I'll need to think about that. Because then I need to make little commands for everything. Obviously, like these roots won't have that because they're just like things of meaning, but like these action morphemes, like our proximal determiners, like this, I don't know, it's probably like prox or something, right? I would guess. But proximal, this / close, and that is D, or this can be RI, is our alternative solution, our alternative action for that, which is an affix button option. Oh, I just have a morpheme. We'll add it. Yeah. So that can either be D or determiner alternative would be RI. And then we have medial, not alternative, is TI medial, this being referred / pointed to. Yes. And then our alternative version from that we came up with was SI. So that would be C. And then the last one is the distal, which that / far, and that's TSI. Okay, so back up to our spell. After our reflexive morpheme, we have this, or proximal, which is DI. So in theory, that is our thing, right? So if I were to static final string, and this is essentially our magic pool spell, I guess. We could just copy all this over. Where we need to start with our imba. Place that. Why is my keyboard acting up? Wow, okay. Okay, so magic pool spell, imba, voctive case suffix, + welcome command, whatever. Put this at the bottom, there. And then this is essentially this, which is pretty cool. Although, now that I think about it, I think what we're probably going to want to do is actually have a method for building these where you give it a spirit name, a level, and then the spell. Or maybe that part we just build ourselves, right? Because the spell, I feel like, should be just this part, right? Oh. Get morphine. Get morphine. Yeah. So that's essentially what it is. But what I think I will do normally is I will build it like this, right? Where we add all these parts together in our main class, call that, like have it computed or whatever, and run it through the Sandy thing and have it return it. And then once we take the response of it, we can kind of play around with it, massage it, do any manual things we want to do, and then store that here. So what this would end up being would just this, right? Minus the detailed. Oh no, stop! Joy, apparently my keyboard is having problems. That's a problem. Well, let's go back here and see if this is going to work. I don't know why this only happens while I'm streaming. I thought being connected to the Ethernet would fix this problem, but apparently not. There. Other than the fact that it copied it twice. Okay. So magic pool spell. So then I have in my notes 2 more spells that I used, which I think we partially have one of them, but that's essentially going to be stir this pot with this spoon. Wow. I may need to get like a non-Bluetooth keyboard for doing these streams because this is just not working at all. Yeah. Stir this pot with this spoon and then stop stirring. Essentially are the 2 other spells that I know I want to have. So we came up with to stir, which is JUV. So this is not working at all. Hold on. Technical difficulties. One day I will figure out how to do this without problems. Wow. That's bad. Okay. I think we are going to have to give up on this typing thing tonight because I don't think it's working at all. I'm going to need to acquire a non-Bluetooth keyboard and plug it in for next time. But I'm going to sneeze. Oh, okay. But I think essentially this process is going to work, I think. Because I keep going back and forth with this program for this. Like, do I want to have it built out like this and build everything out specifically like that? Like, is that how I want to do it? Is that going to be the easiest way for me to reference and understand what I'm doing? Like, do I want to build... Because, like, another option is I could build a method, right, which... Let me just go ahead and switch you back over to here. Okay, so if I were to create a function in my program, so like in my builder class, that took in all of these parts and could sort of like build it that way, maybe that would be the best way to do it. Or like I could create like an object that has all of these fields in it and it would just work, right? Like trying to think. I don't really have anything I can use to show you, but like, I guess every field would be an object, right? So you would have the topic, subject, and like it would all have the vocative marker. So you would have the topic subject, it would automatically apply vocative. Your mood clause, again, because this is a spell, it is always one of, oh yeah, I forgot, it starts with the I. But you would always have one of those four things. So you can basically just indicate which of those it is. It could be like an enum, right? Which is basically just an enumerated value where there's only a set number of options. And then I could have like sections for the verb stem and the post verb and like all of that. And then we could have little files where you just define one and it would be all the pieces. And then you could give it the specific result or something. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if that would be the best way to do it or to just manually do this process of building them and then just documenting it, and then documenting the parts so that when we have to build other things, we can expand on it. That might be a good option too. But I don't know, something like this where we document these parts or come up with like, I don't know, like maybe I save these as variables that are what they stand for. So what I could do is public static string refl, I think, or ref. That would be va. And so I could do that, and then when I'm building it, instead of doing this, it would just be that. And technically, I think you can do that and make it even shorter if I wanted to have it be like super condensed. I think that would be an option. Oh, this just... there. Yeah. So then like proximal determiner, this could be... oh, you can't see what I'm doing. I forgot that I switched back. But basically, I can just save the actual values of what they are as the little short forms of language so that then I could have those references really quick and easy. That might be a good way to do it, I think. It'll be a little bit more cluttery in my program, but I think that might be the best way to do it. So yes, I might play around with trying to document all the stuff we've already come up with a little bit when I'm not streaming and expand out my Sandy system a little bit, again, while we're not streaming, just to try and get that working a bit better. But yes, I think that's probably the plan. And I think that I'm already tired. I was already planning on cutting this early. I might try and just cut it now, just because I think that if my keyboard is already not working, there's really not much we can do right now without it. But this was a good dive back into it. We kind of covered everything again. I started getting it organized here in the library. So I think that's like set us up good for doing this again next time. So I am excited about that, but yes. So if you have any thoughts or ideas, even after the fact, comment down below, like ideas for how to organize this again, since I don't super know what I'm doing, but I think that will work. And yeah, I will see you in the next stream, which I have already scheduled for, is it next Wednesday? Yes. So next Wednesday, we will be back and I will have a proper keyboard. So yes, thank you. Goodbye. Have a good night.